Welcome everybody we're going to talk about when the baby refuses the breast or becomes fussy at the breast. Now there are a couple different factors to take into consideration, and there are certain questions to ask. The two factors to first determine is this an early onset problem or a late onset problem? And an early onset means within the first 2 weeks of the baby's birth, and late onset means later on. So the baby's been breastfeeding well and then all of a sudden begins to refuse or become fussy at the breast. So this video we're going to talk about the early onset, which would be that first 2 weeks. Now we want to ask a few questions as to why the baby might be refusing or becoming fussy. And so there's some different things that are going to go through my mind as a lactation counselor, how to help you. So one of the questions I'm going to ask is, has your baby been given any type of bottles, nipples, anything like that? I do apologize. My glasses have a glare, but I need to be able to read, so I want to look at some of the questions and be able to talk to you about it. So I may flip back and forth. Another question would be if mom or baby has any health problems, and is mom or the baby taking any medications? Has mom had breast surgery? Is mom's nipples sore or engorged? At what point during the feeding does the baby become fussy or begin to refuse the breast? And does the mother touch the baby's face or the head during feedings? So these are some questions that we would ask if you were to be in my office. Does the baby choke or pull away at the breast when they're feeding? And this could be with your milk let down. How long do you feed on both sides, on each breast? How many times a day do you breastfeed? Can the baby extend their tongue past their lower gums? Does the baby arch their back during feedings? Is the baby fussy when he is not breastfeeding? And if so, how much of the day is he fussy or she? And how would you describe your baby in general? Would you describe your baby as relaxed or very active? And then the last thing is, has your baby recently had an injury or an injection? So it could be a vaccine. Or does he have sores or white patches in the mouth? So those are some questions that I would ask. So if you had an answer to at least one of those, then there are some things that we would talk about. So let's start with, those are a lot of questions. So you, as the viewer, if you're watching this video, you may have said yes to some of these questions, or maybe you are not sure about some things, or whatever the case, you're now ready to hear what kind of how those questions will affect the baby refusing to feed or becoming fussy at the breast. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things. The first thing that we would talk about is latching or problems latching. This could be due to tongue tie, so that's why we would ask the question, or observe whether the baby's tongue can go past the lower gums. Is mom's nipples flat or inverted? This can cause some issues. So if you have sore nipples and the baby's fussing or whatever, this could be an issue with the flat or inverted nipples. And then touching the baby's face during a feed. This can sometimes trigger the rooting reflex, and the baby turns away from the breast. So if you're touching their face, which we tend to do when we're feeding them, we might rub their face, we may rub the top of their head, And this triggers a response for the baby. If you're rubbing on the side of their cheek, it can, trigger the response to turn their head towards that. If you're touching the top of their head, it can cause them to move their head backwards. So those are just normal, triggers. Those are common. If you're experiencing engorgement and breast fullness, it could be that the baby is struggling with latching because the breast is so full. The baby cannot get a good grip on the breast, and therefore the baby is not getting the milk. It's more difficult for them. And this can happen. A lot of times baby will latch really well in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they're struggling with latching. And usually it's when your milk, it can be a sign of because of engorgement. Another thing that could cause a baby to be a little frustrated or fussy or refuse the breast is if you have a delay of milk coming in. Now, this could be caused from a couple different things. This could be caused because of a C-section. A lot of times with the C-section, you would your milk can be delayed. It might not come in until day 5. Another thing could be certain medications can delay the onset of milk. Certain health issues can delay the onset of milk coming in. So that could be an issue, but a lot of times, again, it would be whether you're answering yes to certain questions. Like, how does the baby act on a normal basis? Are they always fussy? Are they ever relaxed? And do they ever seem content? A lot of times that can give us an indication that something is going on other than, what might seem clear to the, I don't know. Sometimes we just look at it as a baby refusing when it could be something a lot more deeper than that, I guess. And then low milk supply. So this can happen a lot of times when bottles are given, and that's why we would ask the question, are bottles given? A lot of times when bottles are given, this can cause a decrease in milk supply, or it can cause the mom not to make or create enough milk. And it can also delay the milk coming in. So that's another reason why we would ask that question, because this could determine whether or not, answer whether or not that's the problem, whether you have a low milk supply. Another thing could be pain from birth injury, which is a lot more, you would notice the baby being not as content. Like we said, the baby may be very fussy a lot, and when you move them around, they cry. A baby you could have an overactive letdown. So if we ask the question, does baby choke at the breast? Do they gulp? Those kinds of things. Do they arch their back? That can be a sign of colic, gas. Sometimes that can be an overactive letdown. It just depends on, how you would answer those questions. Sometimes when you put the baby to the breast, the letdown is so strong that it causes them to get too much milk all at once. They begin to gulp and choke, and this can cause them to pull off, cry, be fussy at the breast. It could cause them to refuse the breast. So some things that you can do is you can pump until that letdown, you get the letdown and it kind of calms, and then you can put the baby to the breast. Another thing that can be a problem is a lot of times a baby expects there to be milk instantly if they've had a bottle before. So when they get on the breast, the milk isn't there instantly. They have to wait for the letdown. So they have to suck for a few seconds for that letdown to come. And so that can cause a baby to begin to get fussy, to pull at the breast, to refuse the breast because the milk is not right there. So that is another reason why we would ask the question, have they been given a bottle before? Let's see. Ineffective suck, poor fit. So sometimes when we say poor fit, sometimes the baby's mouth is really small or the mom's nipple is very large. And this can cause some issues with the baby latching well, and this can cause issues for mom. So the baby can't latch enough to draw enough of that breast nipple into their mouth, so that can cause some issues. So we may tell a mom to establish her milk supply by pumping. So if you have that issue, extremely large nipples, or you feel like that might be the problem, again, any of these things that we talk about, you would want to meet with an IBCLC or a CLC or a breastfeeding peer counselor, whatever. Get someone to observe, to look at, to see how the baby's feeding before you would determine any of these. These are just possible causes of why a baby may refuse. They are not necessarily, you can't, like, just because you can answer yes to something doesn't mean that's immediately what the problem is. And answering yes to one question, like, has baby been given bottles before, that can be, because of that, that can be low milk supply. That can be the baby's now, the letdown, the letdown issue, and not being fast enough. There can be delayed milk. So the answer to yes to one of those questions could mean multiple reasons. But the nice thing about it is knowing that if you do answer yes, there's usually something that we can do to help, to solve that problem and get the baby back to the breast, because that would be the ultimate goal. And then, let's see, that's kind of the main things that would answer those questions, that would go with those questions for the early onset. So in the next video, we'll talk about the late onset, and we'll talk about, what, why that, some of the questions that you would ask, and then what you can do about it, like what could be the cause. We did ask the question about baby taking any medications, if the baby's sick, if mom has health problems. Sometimes medications can change the taste of the milk. Sometimes a baby's health problems, sometimes sucking tires them out, or sometimes it hurts. If they have like thrush or something, which is usually a little later, so that'll be something we'll probably talk about later. So a lot of times, so I wanted to kind of mention that because sometimes we can be on a medication in the first 2 weeks for whatever reason, and that could be flavor the milk, and that could cause. So again, there's a lot of different reasons, a lot of different things, and if you answered yes to any of these questions, there's usually something that we can do, and we can usually figure out what the problem is and figure out a way to fix it. So I'm going to end the video at this point, and what I would like you to do is in the comment section, if you have any of these concerns, you answered yes to any of these questions, feel free to comment below, ask me any questions. If you are experiencing this problem and you want some help and you know which maybe areas that might be your problem, we could talk about it. Leave it in the comment section below and I'll try to get back with you. And then if your baby is older than 2 weeks, then we will just look for the next video and I will talk more about that late onset and what you can do about that. So just look forward to that video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Just remember, it is free to subscribe. It just lets you know, kind of puts my videos in your feed. And the notification bell next to that subscribe button lets you know when I upload a video. So you'll actually be notified that I've uploaded a video. So you can click that bell and that will notify you of when my videos come up. Now, that notification bell has settings. So it can occasionally show you, or it can every video. So occasional videos will show, you'll be notified, or all videos you'll be notified. So you can just kind of hover over with your mouse or cursor and that will pop up and you can click whether you want occasional or you want all videos. So just something to look at and to make sure that you are subscribed and that you have clicked the notification bell. I noticed that I do have a lot of viewers that view the videos, but I don't have near the amount of subscribers. So I will ask you please to take this time to hit that subscribe button. Again, it's not something that you're it's not going to be any responsibility on your part. It's just how I'm able to keep my subscriber count good and up there right now. With the way that YouTube is working, if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, you cannot monetize your videos. So at this point, I cannot monetize my videos. I'm not anywhere near the 1,000. So my aim is to get to 1,000. So that'll be a whole nother video, but I just wanted to make mention to remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and I will see you guys in my next video.